radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio. For the masses. Yeah, man. How you doing? Today's Monday, December 21st, 2020. Let's do this, man. 356 days into the new year. Only 10 days left. Wow. Only 4 days to Christmas. 4. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Yeah, 'tis the season. Winter solstice. You've been watching what's going on outside. Up in the night sky. And this is Christmas week here on Fade to Black. Tonight, very special guest for the first time. Ryan Sprague joins us. Somewhere in the skies. Ryan Sprague is here, finally. Talk about all of that tonight. Tomorrow night, director James Fox. James Fox, man of the moment. Going to stop by. We're going to be talking about his new film, The Phenomenon, which we have pretty much been talking about for the last 2 years. James has been on with us many times and going through the stages of The Phenomenon. I had the honor and the privilege with James over the last few years of getting clips of different segments of the film. Jimmy, what do you think of this? Check this out. Check this out. I got another clip for you, and sending me stuff, and I got to see it go through its stages. Got to watch the film without the soundtrack. I got to watch it before the color correction. And then, eventually, I finally got to see the final product a few months ago. But tonight or tomorrow night, James Fox is here. We're going to be talking about all of it and the extraordinary times that we are living in right now when it comes to the UFO question. Then Wednesday night, live from the UK. Very excited about this, too. Another first-time guest, Ronnie Dugdale, is joining us. And we are going to be talking about Rendlesham again. But Ronnie's very, very important position and view on Rendlesham, because he has been a part of it since the absolute beginning. And his timeline and his contribution to John Burroughs' new book is something that cannot be measured. And so Ronnie joins us finally on Wednesday night. And then Thursday, well, it's Christmas Eve. That's right, Christmas Eve. And we are going to have a very special Fader night on Christmas Eve with all of you. And there you go, Christmas week here on Fade to Black. Doesn't get it any better, does it? All right, let's just jump straight into it. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. All right, follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. And I want to, as we start to get things kicked off here, I'm going to be talking about more of all of this. Okay, so it's Santa Claus gifts, I see, going on. Yeah, follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. All right, you know that already. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Come and hang out with us there. I used to hashtag F2BQ as Fade to Black questions. I used to mention TweetDeck and pushing TweetDeck, and it's escaped me for the last 6 months or maybe a year since I've mentioned TweetDeck. We use TweetDeck here, and all you have to do, if you're listening to my voice, you probably, and if you're new to the show, you've never heard me mention TweetDeck. Google it. Just Google TweetDeck. One word, TweetDeck, D-E-C-K. Do that. Download it, get it installed. It's a Twitter product, and then go and figure it out. But that's how Twitter. TweetDeck should just be Twitter. This is what Twitter should be right here. TweetDeck. But that's what we use. Get yourself TweetDeck, download it, and when you do, you might be a little confused at first because it runs automatically. Twitter runs automatically. You don't have to click on notifications or anything. But when you do, tweet out to hashtag F2B. Go, okay, guys, fade or not, I got TweetDeck installed. What do I do now? And we'll come help you out. All right? We will guide you through the process. But get TweetDeck. Hello to everybody over in the chat rooms over at Spreaker. I see that everybody is rolling in. And, of course, Facebook and what's that other? YouTube. Yeah, UBN, the bunker cam, everybody that can see me. There you go. All right. Yeah, do you feel festive yet? Do you feel festive? So anyway, going back to TweetDeck and Twitter, go outside, take a picture of the Great Conjunction. Just do it. Just run outside, take a picture, post it. It's pretty crazy. And I was checking it out right before showtime tonight, and from Burbank. Okay, so right before showtime, about 6:15 or so, it was the conjunction was getting pretty low, right? So I was like looking straight out at it, and right next to each other. So I guess if they were on top of each other, Saturn and Jupiter, I missed it. Saturn was off to the right. Pretty close, but I think I missed it. Did you miss it? Did you see it? Were they ever on top of each other? They must have been for just right? I'm not wrong. Or are they eventually tonight still going to come together? But here in Burbank, it's going to be down below the horizon, so it won't be after the show tonight. There you go. All right, the great. I also suggest the plug-in. No, not the plug-in. The Great Conjunction did anybody see it tonight? Okay, all right. Let's move on. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Want to get to the breaking news? The Chinese. Yeah, Chinese in the news. All right. The Chinese have been using stolen data to track Central Intelligence Agency operatives conducting sensitive work in Africa and Europe since around 2013. Say what? And this is all according to interviews with more than a dozen current and former U.S. intelligence and national security officials. 3 former U.S. officials said that the surveillance by the Chinese began in some cases as soon as CIA officials had cleared passport control. No joke. They noted that in some instances, surveillance was so overt that U.S. intelligence believed the Chinese wanted them to know that the CIA operatives had been identified in order to disrupt their missions. Other times, the surveillance was more subtle and only detected through U.S. counter-surveillance technology. The Chinese reportedly discovered the CIA's penetration of their government through a flaw in an online system used by the United States Spy Agency to secretly communicate with their agents between 2010 and 2012. Chew on that. Well, I know you've read the news, so I'm going to keep this brief. There is a new COVID strain that appears to have mutated and originated in the Southeast United Kingdom. It is called COVID-20. Now, the news and the data is just now being reported on, and we'll get you all of the developments over the next few days. Now, over to Hawaii. The Hawaii County Civil Defense Agency, known as the COH, has asked residents to stay indoors after the Kilauea volcano erupted following a series of earthquakes. A glow was detected within the crater of the volcano summit, and an eruption had commenced within Kilauea's summit caldera. The eruption on the Big Island took place late last night local time at the crater. The Kilauea Volcano Observatory raised the alert level to warning. Not watch, but warning. That's the full-on advisory. The warning comes after a 4.4 magnitude earthquake struck near Hilo late Sunday local time. We're keeping our eyes on all of this. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Samuel L. Jackson. Today, 72 years old. Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, did Django Unchained. Man, 72 years old. Jane Fonda, today, 83. Kiefer Sutherland says that he's just 54, 3 years younger than me. I'm not buying that. And Ray Romano, today, is 63. And guitar god, Albert Lee, today is 77 years old. Our dead guy's birthday today is, moment of silence, please, Frank Zappa. 1940 to 1993, died at the age of 52. Frank was all about nonconformity, free form improvisation, sound experiments, and satire of the American culture. Yeah, and he was the best at all of it. He's considered one of the most innovative musicians in history, and his personality, his humor, his outlook on life has influenced me probably more than anyone else. Something that he would have protested if I ever had the chance to say it to him, and that is a guarantee. The albums, One Size Fits All, Zappa in New York, Chic Your Booty, and Joe's Garage, Acts 1, 2, and 3, set me on a path to who I am today. For that, I thank you, Frank. Nothing more to be said. Frank died of cancer on December 4th, 1993, 17 days before his 53rd birthday, at his home with his wife, Gail, and his children by his side. Happy birthday, Frank Zappa. On this day in history, 1988, Pan Am Flight 103 explodes over Scotland. Fader fact. In Bolivia. Okay, here we go. Now, I just love getting to the Fader fact each night. And this is one of the reasons why. In Bolivia, when an inmate enters San Pedro prison, they have to purchase a cell. That's right. They have to purchase their own cell for somewhere between $20 and $5,000, depending on the quality, the amenities. Freelance agents in Bolivia advertise these cells on billboards and magazines. And that, oh man, that's your Fader fact. Look it up. It's trippy. You should see some of these billboards, by the way. Tonight, right here, kicking off Christmas week, very special guest Ryan Sprague joins us for the first time. Can't believe it. Done this show for a lot of years. Ryan Sprague joins us. Tomorrow night, director James Fox, we're going to be talking about his new film, The Phenomenon. Wednesday night, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale is here also for the first time. And then Thursday, it is Christmas Eve. And it is another Fader night with open lines all night long. Can't wait. It's a great week. It is, you know what? Merry Christmas, everyone. No PC stuff around here. Merry Christmas. And now it's time for me to hit this River Moon coffee. It's the best. rivermooncoffee.com. Yeah, I almost, looking at Third Stone Studios here, I almost did. I was going to do some Samuel L. Jackson tonight, but I bailed on it. I printed stuff out. I was going to go there. The Lord, I was going to do it. I was going to do it, but I didn't. Big Kahuna Burger. I almost did. See, I'm getting sucked into it now. Thank you for that. Okay. So tonight is my chair's squeaking in one spot. Did you hear that? Now I can't get it to repeat. Oh, there. I got a squeaky chair. It's back. So tonight is the much anticipated and publicized super duper Jupiter Saturn conjunction. And as I just mentioned, I checked it out before airtime. And they are putting on quite the show for us. It's truly amazing. And to see it, right? It's just right there. It's pretty cool. We are lucky, you see, to be humans with a brain. Yeah. The ability to ponder such things. If you think about it, we are the only species on Earth that are looking up to the night sky right now, this evening, at its wonder. Just that, in itself, is a very heavy thought. Sure. This has been going on for a long time. And I'm talking about looking to the stars and thinking about things. No other species does it, right? We are blessed with that. But it's too easy for us to think today that these generations are the first to do these things. And we are not. We are not the only generations. No. Right? And the other part is that we think today that we are able, for the first time, to calculate when they're going to happen. But we can go back to Aristotle, Copernicus, Galileo, even Isaac Newton. All heavy thinkers for sure. And they are the ones that opened up the doors to our universe. But they also opened up to much smaller things as well. Now, Newton's biggest thoughts and ideas came from his downtime during the plague. That's right. Now, this is where you need to just stop and trip out for a second. Can you imagine if he had the internet back then? You see, think about this for a second. I know you're going to me at 1687, man. That the internet back then. Come on. But he had the plague. He had a distraction. Today, we have a pandemic. We have a distraction. Now, think about what I'm about to say. He was able to clear his mind during his downtime and think about gravity and physics and math. He pondered. If he had the internet, we may still be trying to figure out why an apple just falls to the ground. Think about that for a second. Right? Today, we have all of these amazing physicists who are not able to take advantage of all the downtime right now. Because right now they are still teaching classes via Zoom. See what COVID did to my brain? Do you see what COVID did to my brain? This is how I think today. If we had had the pandemic 10 or 15 years ago, instead of today with Zoom, Skype, the internet, right? If we had the pandemic 10 or 15 years ago, schools would have been completely shut down. Today, they are not. We're doing everything virtually. So all of the academics have to continue working. But if we had the pandemic 10 or 15 years ago, no Zoom classes, suddenly, right? Think about it. All of these great scientific minds would have written papers on theory that would have sent us to the stars by now. But we've been denied because of Zoom. I'm just saying. Anyway. This got me thinking, which is never a good thing, especially with the COVID dementia that I'm going through. But tonight is the Great Conjunction. And you see, we are able to use computers to calculate exactly what is going on and when to expect it. Right? Got the news, 45 minutes after sunset. 45 minutes after sunset, run outside, look up, and you're going to see Jupiter and Saturn 0.1 degree of it from each other. And we are also able to calculate very precisely when it will happen again in 80 years. That's totally and utterly amazing talent that we possess today, if you really think about it. So, this strange ability of ours to ponder, to think, to wonder, to be amazed, to theorize as we look up to the stars. We all also have the ability to ponder the very small. That's right. Now, who does this? Who does this? Nobody but us. Ants don't do it. That's for sure. Dogs don't do it. That we know of. Nothing does but us. And that is what is so cool. So, something that I have been pondering, and that is the word of the night, pondering, for a while now is this. How small is small? Right? How small is small? I mean, where does it all end? True knowledge of the atom started just over 100 years ago in 1905 with Albert Einstein and many others too. And maybe 150 years before that, there were some things. How does water and things are looking at it in a microscope and what's going on here? Yeah. But 1905 was the year. But over the next 4 decades, and until today, but things got smaller and smaller. Suddenly, it wasn't just the atom. It was electrons, it was protons, it was neutrons, quarks, right? And then in the 70s, the idea for string theory started to take hold. Now, string theory is very, very complex, but basically, it can be described as very, very small vibrating fibers or strings that make up everything larger. So the basic question I have is this. What are the strings made of? Right? What are the strings made of? When does small stop? When is the end of the line? These strings, this vibrating energy, has to be made of something, right? And that something is made up of something. Where does it all end? It's my COVID brain. These are some very serious questions. And to take it a step further, these strings are resting on and connected to, wait for it, something else. Something that is smaller than the strings themselves. All of this tiny world is what what is made of? I don't know. Protons, electrons, quarks? This insane, tiny little world exists inside of an atom. The complexity of our entire universe, all of it, is fundamentally made up of one thing. And that one thing is smaller than the vibrating parts of string theory. Those little strings make up all of Jupiter, all of Saturn, as they line up and light up the night sky this evening. That's right. And those little strings make up the telescopes and the eyeballs that are watching it happen, including the human brain that pondered the significance of short person behavior in pedal-depressed panchromatic resonance and other highly ambient domains. Happy birthday, Frank Zappa. Tonight, very special guest, Ryan Sprague, joins us for the first time right here in Faded Black. Very excited about it. Kicking off our Christmas week tomorrow night, director James Fox will be here to talk about his movie Phenomenon. Wednesday night, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale is here also for the first time. And then Thursday night, it is Christmas Eve. Very special Fader night, Christmas Eve, and I'm spending my Christmas Eve with all of you. But tonight, it's all about Ryan Sprague. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back after this short break with tonight's guest, Ryan Sprague. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Permanent industrial glue impossible to remove? Not anymore, because Handyman Formula by D-Bond is a patented chemical adhesive remover. It's used in the building and home maintenance industry, but now it's available for your home use, for your DIY projects. Unglue stickers, silicone rubber, labels, price tags, flex tape, weather stripping, carpet glue, wood glue, liquid nails, even 3M 5200. And it dissolves graffiti. Yeah, graffiti. Handyman Formula by D-Bond works, and it's safe to use on most surfaces. No need to call a professional. Don't get out the pliers and blowtorch. Just apply a little Handyman Formula by D-Bond and wait 90 seconds, then quickly and easily pull the items apart. Get unstuck. Visit dbondhandymanformula.com. That's dbondhandymanformula.com, or call 561-575-4200. Handyman Formula by D-Bond.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Ryan Sprague is here, kicking off our Christmas week. Tomorrow night, James Fox. Wednesday night, live from the UK, Ronnie Dugdale is here. And then, of course, Thursday night, it's Christmas Eve, and it's our very special Fader night, open lines with all of you. Tonight, Ryan Sprague. That's right. Ryan Sprague is here. We're going to be talking about UFOs tonight. And what I want to get into is the new generation of ufologists who are making waves in the community, including Ryan. Ryan is a lead investigator, co-host of the CW television series Mysteries Decoded. He's the author of Somewhere in the Skies, A Human Approach to the UFO Phenomenon, and is the creator and host of Somewhere in the Skies podcast. He's a contributing writer for The Debrief, Open Minds Magazine, Rogue Planet, and Medium. Speaking on the UFO topic, he has been featured in the acclaimed documentary series on the Trail of UFOs, and also on, are you ready for this, ABC News, Fox News, 7 News Australia, and the Science Channel. He has consulted and been featured in Newsweek, the New York Post, and Vice News, and now we can add Fade to Black to that list. His website is somewhereintheskies.com, and I would like to welcome for the first time to Fade to Black, Ryan Sprague. Ryan, good evening, man. How are you?
Jimmy, I'm so excited to be here, man. It's this is the perfect Christmas present for me, brother.
Oh,
I've
right
been
on.
waiting for this forever.
Man, I'm blushing, but before we get started, you get the first-time guest disclaimer. I know you've been waiting for this, but yeah, Ryan, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation as friends, and where that conversation starts, it starts. Where it ends, it ends. But we're gonna end as friends. There you go. You
Awesome,
ready,
brother? I wouldn't have it any other way. Let's do it.
All right, let's turn back the clock a little bit. And I've been thinking about this opening salvo of questions, but I have been stalking and lurking in the background with you for a number of years, and we are both aware of that. But years ago, now I'm going to say I'm going to take a stab at this, but I'm going to say 7 years ago. Maybe 8 years ago, I caught you on KGRA, and you were, I guess, almost like a producer at large, right? A researcher at large kind of thing. Yeah. And if I've got the label wrong, dude, I've got COVID, dementia, and it's been a lot of years. But I caught you back then and was very intrigued about your take on things. And then it was right around that time you announced, hey, I got a book deal, right? And I was like, okay. I'm going to say kid affectionately. This young man is tearing things up. But take me back to that period. How did you get involved with KGRA? How did your introduction to Richard Dolan happen? and what brought you into this community?
Yeah, so I mean, like a lot of, I guess, UFO researchers out there, I do have that kind of quintessential origin story. I had a sighting when I was 12 years old. Nothing too crazy. I saw a formation of triangular lights over a body of water in central New York and scared the crap out of me. Couldn't tell you what it was, but it terrified me. I had nightmares for years after that, Jimmy.
How old were you?
I was 12, so this had to be, I'm going to age myself here. Mid 90s, I want to say, 95.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So formation, perfect triangular formation of lights, red, hazy circle in the middle, kind of this prototypical triangular UFO as we've come to sort of learn what these things are. But I didn't see a machine. I didn't see a structure. I just saw the lights. And like I said, this thing, it was silent. It floated over this body of water. It disappeared. And my life changed after that.
Yeah, holy crap, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so were your parents, I know you're home for the holidays. Were your parents crazy? Were they into these subjects?
Not at all. I mean, I grew up a baseball player. I mean, you can ask my dad. I was ready to go pro, man. And like every summer, that's all I did. Other than take some fishing trips, go to camp, stuff like that. And I saw this UFO while I was on one of these camping trips. And I kind of, I kept it to myself for many years. I told a couple friends, got made fun of. You know how that whole game goes.
Sure.
And I would write essays to myself outside of school about the Roswell UFO crash or, Loch Ness Monster, whatever I could get my hands on in this weird world, and take out books at the library. And man, it was just a snowball effect from there. I became obsessed.
Right. So before the sighting, any interest in UFOs?
None. Nothing.
Gotcha.
I mean, I hadn't. Maybe I'd seen a couple movies here and there, but the X-Files wasn't around yet. It just wasn't my thing, man. Like I said, I wanted to be the next Roberto Alomar or Joe Carter. I was a big Blue Jays fan at the time, so that was my life, man. So yeah, I had no, preconceived notions of what I was looking at. I didn't look up and say, "Wow, this is a alien craft." I just knew, even at age 12, that what I was looking at was not what I'd ever seen before. This was not a conventional airplane by any means.
So now you're an unofficial researcher.
Yes, I would say we're all pretty unofficial when it really comes down to it, right? I mean, there's no degree in ufology, but my mentor, Peter Robbins, the UFO researcher,
right?
He told me, in order to become a ufologist, you touch your nose, spin around 3 times, and boom.
That's the induction ceremony, pretty much.
Right. But yeah, man, I take it very seriously.
And so you jump into the research. What did you start to find out?
When I first got interested, the first book I ever read was by Stan Friedman. It was Crash at Corona, about the Roswell crash. And I mean, now I wasn't just learning that UFOs might possibly be visiting our planet from elsewhere, but now they're crashing. So, I mean, man, that was it for me. I learned right from the beginning that this was possibly happening, that extraterrestrial intelligence were visiting our planet, may have crashed, and our government was covering it up. So that just, I didn't know what to think. I mean, I'm 13 years old at this point reading about this.
Right.
And again, nobody was talking about it. And I just, it stunned me. And that's why I kind of kept it to myself. So I'm like, am I crazy? Or are these books like, are they all fiction? What am I to make of this?
Now, let me ask you, if you go back to 1995, and that period of ufology was a crazy one for you to come into this circle, because there were things that were happening then, like the MJ-12 documents started to surface. You had the alien autopsy film and the things that were happening. Did you get into that? Did you see the alien autopsy film at the age of 13, 14, 15?
Yep. I remember distinctly the night that thing premiered on Fox. I watched it with my parents, and I it dumbfounded me. I was, again, like, I had just heard about this UFO crash, and now we supposedly have the body, and now we have film of it. Many years later, in retrospect, the film is what it is.
You can say it. Yeah, you can say whatever you want to say, but did you think what you were watching, at that time was real?
To a degree. And I think it really was that whole idea of that X-Files poster. I want to believe.
Right.
I think at that point I was willing to believe anything. There were some little, I guess, warning signs throughout it where I was like, I don't know about this. And for me, man, I mean, we're talking 95. This was like the advent of AOL.
Right.
So I was hopping on all those chat rooms and forums about conspiracy theory. And that's when, like, my whole world opened up. Like, everything from JFK assassination to Roswell to the MK Ultra, blah, 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 blah. And I just became inundated. And then, like, it's overwhelming when you first get involved in these topics. You're getting hit from every angle, every person out there giving their own ideas, opinions, and beliefs on it. And I didn't know what to do or where to turn. So it was tough at first, man, because like I said, I had no one to talk to about this except complete random strangers on the internet, which is not a good thing, So.
Yeah, well, I did the same thing. I think a lot of us did that were part of the UFO community back then, with AOL and the first search engines. First thing you do is you plug in UFO, right? And it was a limited amount of resources there, but I found the website UFO Mind. And that website, and I say it to this day, that was the reason to have the internet. Because everything back then, especially, was compiled in one database, and you could just start at the top and just click. It was in alphabetical order. The names, the subjects, the crashes, the researchers, the abductees, the experiencers, in alphabetical order. So you could just start at the top and work your way down, and the amount of you didn't have to search. You just had to go to UFO Mind and start reading. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that website. I remember a few others as well, where it really did give me an encyclopedic sort of view of all this. If I was interested in crashes, I could go to crashes. If I was interested in documents, go to documents. I'm not sure if the Black Vault was around back then. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it started in 95, 96. And I told John Greenwald, we're going to move on for a second, in a second, but I remember telling John Greenwald, when I found the Black Vault, I swear, I thought that the Men in Black were going to kick down my door, right? That this is the secret stuff right here, right?
Yep.
And I was so thankful for those two websites, the Black Vault and UFO Mind. Well, okay, so that period. We're sitting in 2020. I found you in 2013-ish, I'm guessing there. So between 95, 96, that's about help me on the math here. It's about a 15-year period of research that you were going through, right?
Yeah. I mean, my first interview I ever did with a UFO witness was at age 13. I interviewed a Vietnam veteran who had a UFO sighting over the Pacific Ocean. So I dove right in, man. Like from 12 to 13, I was ready to get out there and start talking to people and finding people who had seen these things. And I was the first and last person that this Vietnam vet ever told about his UFO sighting.
Wow, that's incredible.
He passed away a few years after that. So I was honored, that was the first person I ever interviewed about it. And like you said, decades passed. Life took over, whatever, I played baseball up until college. And that's when I really started getting into stuff. Like at that time, it was Open Minds was around, and I was really looking into that stuff. And I was a writer as well. I went to school for English. And that's when I reached out to Open Minds and said, hey, you looking for any writers? And they took a chance on me, man. And that's when I started really diving in and writing about the topic. And of course, all the names started popping up: Peter Robbins, Richard Dolan, Barry Greenwood, Micah Hanks. Like, all these names started to become, my celebrities. It wasn't Tom Cruise. It wasn't these people on TV. It was these people in this world that I'd found, this subculture of ufology.
Now, what's the difference between a young mindset like you had, you still do, but back then, versus the mindset of these other researchers that you're looking up to? Did you approach the subject differently?
I mean, I had the luxury of having the internet, which I think is key. I am part of the, I guess, Gen X up to millennial cusp. And I'm very fortunate that if I want to know something about UFOs, I just type it in to a search engine. Boom. A lot of the people that I look up to, the old guard, as it were, didn't have that. So, I respect the hell out of that these guys were out there traveling the country, banging on doors and writing letters and doing the hard work, where anyone today can call themselves a UFO researcher, myself included, with a few clicks and look something up. But, I kind of took that from my mentor, Peter Robbins, of, you got to be a people person. If you're going to interview people about having a UFO encounter or a abduction experience, you got to have some compassion, man, because no matter what you think happened to this person, it was a profound traumatic experience for them. And that's when I really learned to be a people person. I mean, I can say that the UFO field and whatever place I may have in that has made me an extremely personable person. And I've made the best of friends through it. And I've made allies and formed bonds of trust that I don't think can ever be broken. And it's been amazing.
Well, are you a skeptic first? And have you had your heart broken for not being a skeptic?
I've definitely had both. I think, like many people, the longer you do this, the more skeptical you become. And I don't think that's a bad thing by any means. I would consider myself a skeptic believer. I'm very open-minded. I mean, I remember the first time I sat down with an abductee in person and talked to them. I went in being like, nah, this might be a funny, cool story. And by the end, man, like, this woman was grabbing her husband's hand, bawling her eyes out, and telling me this incredible story of having been abducted by what she believed was an intelligence from somewhere else. And that really hit me. That was a profound moment for me to be like, no matter what happened to this person, it completely changed them. And she believed this happened to her. So I really go back and forth. It's a case-to-case basis. But if anything, I've learned to kind of go into it with an open mind and then kind of narrow in. And yeah, I've definitely had my heart broken a few times, as we all do in this field. I know I've been lied to. I know I've been BS'd. I've changed my mind many a times on things. And if you can't do that, this is not the field to be in. Trust me, man.
Yeah, you got that right. You got that right. And I wanted to ask you, because of your generation, you have grown up around technology. And not only is it the internet, but it's video games and it's artificial augmented realities and your ability to develop a discernment from what is real, like, the alien autopsy, for example. How do you apply that knowledge? Your DNA is altered. You're not the same human species that I am. Your DNA has been altered. You're from a different generation. How do you approach videos and images today?
It's so funny you bring this up. I'm home for the holidays, and there comes that point where your parent asks you to download an app for them on their phone or something. And for me, it's just inherent. I know immediately what to do, how to do it. For them, I got to go step by step by step. And that's the same for a lot of people my age and below, is we are conditioned from birth to know how to use these things. I mean, I've seen babies in strollers with an iPad, and that just still does not process in my mind. Like, wow. So, man, for me, we live in an age where you can put a UFO into a photo in your phone within seconds. So photos, videos, for me, it's not really where it's at. I mean, look, we have these Navy UFO videos that we've been talking about for 3-4 years now. Cool, amazing. Some people think they're amazing. To me, it's just a video. Until those Navy pilots and the people on the carriers started coming forward and giving us context of what we're looking at in that video, I didn't care. So it's all about witness testimony for me, man. I'm all about the people who've had these experiences. Both the editions of my book are about the people and the stories they have to tell. And that might not mean anything to some UFO researchers who just want data, just want the proof, just want the evidence. But I think every story has some sort of value and adds to this huge tapestry of stuff that we're looking at, and only strengthens a lot of the cases.
Now, before we hit the break, let me bring up something that is obvious to everybody, and that, of course, is TTSA and Tom DeLonge and Blink 182. I'm assuming, because of your age, Blink 182 was a part of your life, right?
I can admit I went to
it's okay,
many
man.
a Blink concert.
Exactly.
Yep, huge fan.
That's my point. So here comes, I mean, for me, it'd be like David Lee Roth, coming out with a company for UFO research. I would just be blown away. And here comes Tom DeLonge. As this started to unfold 3 years ago, how did you deal with it?
What's really interesting about that is I remember a colleague of mine, Jason McClellan, who used to work for Open Minds. I was at one of their UFO conferences, and we're just chilling, having a nice dinner or whatever. And I look back, and there's Tom DeLonge out, in the corner. And I'm like, what is the lead singer of Blink 182 doing at a UFO conference? And it just, again, like it was like seeing a UFO. I could not process this in my mind. And I remember asking Jason, like, what's going on here? He's like, oh yeah, he's super into UFOs, man. He's been studying this topic. He probably knows more than most UFO researchers out there, blah, blah, blah. And that really intrigued me. And so I started going through my head and listening to all these Blink songs. And yeah, man, he's bringing up MJ-12. He's bringing up aliens in all his songs. And then, boom, the whole TTSA thing starts. So, of course, like many, I was very mystified. But at the same time, I could see it. I could understand why someone like him, who'd been singing about aliens his whole life, had been reading all the books while he's on the tour bus with Blink, why he would want to try something like this. He's an ambitious dude. No matter what you think of TTSA or the people involved, this guy knows his stuff, Tom DeLonge, and he has a hunger and passion for this topic. So I'm no Tom DeLonge apologist. All I could say is I understand his hunger and excitement to look into this topic and to do something with his money. I mean, he's probably losing money on this.
He's definitely lost money, but
yeah.
But as a member of this community, you're an author, you're a host, you're a television host, you're part of the community now. Do you feel that the monopoly of information that TTSA wanted to be, right? They wanted to be the bringer of everything and the answer to everything. Were you concerned about that?
Yes. And I anyone who says they weren't, I have a hard time believing that. I mean, look, man, when that first New York Times article hit, and sort of TTSA was the poster child for ufology, yeah, it was hard because not even me, but the old guard had been doing this for 50 years, trying to find answers and get credit for the things that they did. And then along comes this rock star who just becomes the face of it.
Is that a tattoo? Is that a tattoo?
Yeah, it is.
Let me see it.
Yeah, this is.
I'm just going to let the audience know he's got a tattoo on his forearm.
Takes up the whole forearm. It's a I don't know if you can see it. It's a typewriter.
Oh, it is a typewriter.
Yeah. Top half of a typewriter.
It almost looks like the silhouette of an interstellar spacecraft from Star Wars.
I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, he's let everybody know Ryan is just all animated, and I'm seeing this massive tattoo here. Okay, so back to where was I? Having the market cornered is not a good thing. Monopoly is not good anywhere. But the motivation that they have done with the media, there's no question about it, where they have elevated things. And on December 17, 2017, I'm driving in my car. I almost crashed it when it's announced on talk radio at 12 noon, UFOs are real. The Pentagon's got a secret. I was like, what? And I went straight to the bunker, and we broadcasted live on a Saturday, the days of disclosure. Today, my excitement is not what it was 3 years ago. Has your excitement come down?
It ebbs and flows. I mean, I feel like every time one of these New York Times articles hits, it's just like the mainstream media. It comes to kind of a fever pitch, and then it disappears. You know, we had this again recently. I think it was, in the middle of 2020, where the off-world vehicle article hit the New York Times, and everyone got all up in a rile again. So yeah, man, I totally understand that. I think when that first article hit, it really was a shift in the overall consciousness on this topic. And I can flat out say we have the New York Times, we have To the Stars, we have other people behind the scenes who made that happen. And I will be forever thankful for that. I mean, this topic is bigger now than it's been in, God, decades now.
Now, why? Yes. And I'm going to interrupt because I've got 45 seconds before the break.
Yeah.
Do you feel that TTSA took their foot off the gas?
I think, and, I don't support TTSA financially, anything like that. I'm not one of these, super fans of the company either. I like to keep a distance as a objective journalist and researcher. I think they did what they set out to do. They wanted to get stuff going, policies made within government to look at this stuff, and they did it. So, I mean, I don't know where to go from here. Maybe we could look at some crashed wreckage from a UFO and have them look at that. But look, man, they said flat out, we did what we came here to do. Like, the rest is up to the public and the government. So, yeah, I could see the brakes being put on a little bit, but it would not surprise me if they dropped something else in our laps like they did in December of 2017.
2021 is right around the corner. Let's take our break. Our guest tonight, Ryan Sprague. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Want to remind everybody, tomorrow night, James Fox is here to talk about the phenomenon. Wednesday night, Ronnie Dugdale, live from the UK. Then, of course, Thursday night is Christmas Eve, and we're going to have a live Fader night, open lines all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4 for forbiddenknowledge.tv. Again, visit forbiddenknowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein the Ancient Crystal Skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We're also Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Ryan Sprague, Somewhere in the Skies. I want to remind everybody, it is Christmas week here. And tomorrow night, we have James Fox, The Phenomenon. Wednesday night, Ronnie Dugdale, live from the UK. And then Thursday night's Christmas Eve. All right. Ryan Sprague is our guest. Ryan, did you go outside and check out the Great Conjunction?
Yes, I did. Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. I mean, it was pretty far away, but I was able to catch it.
Did you vibe?
I vibed. I was vibing hard.
Now, you're in New York. You're in New York now. You're at your parents' house for the holidays. But are you in New York City proper?
Yeah, so I live in Queens. I'm a Peter Parker all the way.
Right.
And yeah, man, I've been there for about 10 years. Took a 2-year stint in LA, but I'm back in New York and visiting family for the holidays. So I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, absolutely not. But I have to ask you, what's New York like now over this last year?
Unrecognizable. I mean, again, I've been there for about 10 years. I was not there for 9/11, so some have compared it to that, but it's crazy, man. I mean, a ghost town. I mean, you walk out of your apartment in New York City and you just feel the energy. It's everywhere.
You're right.
And that's what I love about living there. And I mean, now it's just I live near a hospital too, which is tough. I'm hearing sirens every 2 seconds. I'm hearing helicopters bringing people in on the roof every night. It's crazy. So I take every chance I can to get away from it.
And what about a job? What are you doing?
So right now I'm doing the podcast is my full-time gig somewhere in the skies. I do writing gigs. I'm working for the Debrief, the new website that just came out, doing news for them. But my job was on Broadway. New York, I moved to the Big Apple, and God knows when that's ever coming back. So it's been tough, man. It's been tough. I can't lie.
Yeah, it's something that I've said so many times in my life. New York City is the greatest city in the world. There's, Moscow, London, Rome. Yeah, okay. It ain't New York. New York is its own thing, and you get, especially when you're coming in from out of town, you come in from JFK, you go into Manhattan, and then you get out of the cab and put your foot on the ground, and the electricity just rolls up your leg, right? It's just the most exciting people and things. You're just looking around, you're like, oh my God, it's real, right? But that vibe has disappeared, hasn't it?
It has, but man, I mean, I think there's a lot of misconceptions of New York too. Everyone's, super rude and always in a hurry and this, that. But I will tell you, when this pandemic first hit and I was there during the first lockdown, it was such a community. It's the nicest people you can think of coming together. Because look, man, they've been there before. They've dealt with some tragic stuff in that city.
Mm-hmm.
And when things go wrong, everyone really bands together. So while it's unrecognizable and it's different, it's still New York. It's still the place I love, I call home. But yeah, I cannot lie when I say it is not the same, and it probably never will be like the rest of the world.
Yep. It's a crazy time. And so the reason why I'm asking you this, does this enable you? Well, obviously there's the debrief and writing and your podcast, but does this open up time for other research that you've always wanted to get done?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, my library is probably as big as the next UFO researchers. So I finally have time to sit down and just dig through these old files and books. And I'm making my way through the 4 volumes of Jacques Vallée's Forbidden Science right now, which I never had the luxury or time to do. I mean, New York City, I'm working 4 jobs at a time just to pay my rent. But now, man, like you mentioned something earlier in your show of some of the greatest stuff happens during these times.
That's right.
A pandemic, or look at all the amazing things that came out during the when the first Spanish flu hit, or things like that. So I have no doubt we're going to see a renaissance happen again, whether it's creatively or in the UFO field. I mean, I'm on the phone every other day with Micah Hanks because he's one of the biggest history nerds I know when it comes to the UFO topic, and just being like, dude, did you know about all these cases back in the 1700s, 1600s? And I finally have someone to talk to about it. So it has been extremely enlightening and exciting to finally have the time to really do the research I've always wanted to do.
Between the age of 12 to now, you had the big sighting over the water. Have you had sightings since?
A few here and there. I had a pretty, I would say, not non-event, but definitely something that could probably be explainable in Queens when I was living there. I was walking home from work. I saw, a light in the sky. It was moving very erratically. And I'm telling you, the minute I stopped to look at it is when it shot up and out of sight. But I live right near LaGuardia, so it could have been anything, man. It honestly could have been anything. But I will say that UFO event in 95. That was it for me. It was my initiation event into this topic. I've never had an experience like that since. I'd love to see something again, but if that's all I get in this lifetime, I'm totally happy with that because it got me where I am today.
Now, you brought up Jacques Vallée, you brought up Stanton Friedman, Micah, who I love dearly, who I think is the most skeptic of all skeptics, and he keeps my feet on the ground when it comes to a lot of these subjects. But what do you think ultimately is going on with contact? Because you have the extremes. You have Jacques Vallée, interdimensional. There's something probably spiritual going on here. And then you swing it over to Stanton Friedman, and you've got, nuclear propulsion, nuts and bolts aircraft that are visiting us, probably piloted, right? So where are you in that broad spectrum?
Yeah, that is a very broad spectrum, and I cannot pretend, Jimmy, to know where I lay. I feel like I change my mind every day. Like I said earlier, changing your mind is probably the most healthy thing you can do in this field. And I think it's everything. I mean, why? Why does a UFO have to be an intelligence from Zeta Reticuli? Maybe one is, but what about this event that happened, to this person over here? So I'm all about it, man. Interdimensional, us from the future, aliens, you name it, angelic. I mean, like you said, some of these events, it really depends on the lens you look at it through. If someone's a spiritual person and they have a UFO event, maybe they think it was angelic. Maybe they think it was a miracle. Look at, what's the one? The Magdalene, the sighting back that the kids had of the Virgin Mary. I mean, someone like Jacques Vallée says that could have been one of the first UFO events.
Yeah, that still perplexes me, and the reason why that does, you're talking about Portugal, and that there were a few different things that happened, but one of those events allegedly had 25,000 people, watching a craft up in the sky. Now, if you go back to the early 1900s, there wasn't anything in the sky, right? There just wasn't. Aircraft were rare. So what was it that they saw? And of course, they made it a religious experience. And only because of the messages that were brought forward by the three kids. Yeah, you're definitely right about that. But now let's shift gears. Today, so many researchers, I'm going to use air quotes on that, are in this community now only because of December 17th, 2017. Their research is from that moment forward, and they're interested in the subject without the history or another lens to look. Is that a dangerous zone for the internet to be paying attention to?
It's limiting, absolutely. I mean, again, I don't think we can move forward without looking back. If I had just started with, the Rendlesham event, a big case that my mentor, Peter Robbins, was a part of, whether he likes it or not, then I think I would be doing a huge disservice to my own research and not looking what came before it. Maybe there was an explanation for something that happened in 2018, 19, 20 that happened back in the 80s. So I think it's extremely important to know the history of this topic whenever younger people, and I'm talking teenagers or in their early 20s, come to me, and they do a lot, which is extremely exciting for me, that I'm no longer the young gun. I can now pass it on to younger people who are interested in this topic. I tell them, start reading. Go back, read Richard Dolan's 2 volumes of National Security State. Read Jacques Vallée, because if you don't know where this topic has been, you have no right knowing where it's going moving forward, in my personal opinion. So I think it's cool that so many people got interested since 2017 and TTSA. But look, you got to put in the dirty work. I mean, I'm talking 13, man. That's when I first had the courage to go up to a Vietnam vet and say, tell me about your UFO experience. So, yeah.
Now, I wanted to ask you this because you keep saying now you're passing the torch to the younger. It just blows my mind. But
Right.
take me to your first UFO conference.
All right. My first one would have to be, I believe it was about 2011, maybe, I want to say. I volunteered at the UFO Congress. That's what it was.
In Arizona.
In Arizona. I said, look, I will get you coffee. I will clean the bathrooms. I don't care. Just get me to Arizona.
Good
I
move.
want to see what these things are all about. And I got there, man, and they put me to work. I was backstage doing sound. I was running interviews. I was helping to sell T-shirts, whatever I had to do to get involved with this thing. And then I worked my way up every year, man, until I was on that stage speaking some years later.
Now, and so that's what I wanted to ask you about. When you go to your first UFO conference, it's the speakers. That's exciting. And, there's Stan Friedman, right? Okay, I get that part of it. But it's also the attendees that are the miracle of that make these events so much fun. Were you getting into the community side of it and talking to people about the subject? I mean, your first UFO conference is a pretty extraordinary experience.
Ooh, it was overwhelming. It was weird. It was awkward, but it was also extremely powerful. I mean, you have people from all over the world attending this thing. And that really solidified something for me. Not so much of like, wow, this is interesting. This is cool. But people actually take this seriously. I mean, you had, like you said, Stanton Friedman up on that stage. You had a former military officer telling us that they saw something land in a forest in 1980 and they couldn't explain it. And wow, man, to be backstage and literally have that person's voice feeding into my headphones, it shook me. I was like, this isn't just a cool little chintzy thing with aliens and crystals and selling stuff. Like, these people take this seriously. And it opened my eyes, not only to the community, but just the fact that people were willing to put their reputations and careers on the line to come out and talk about this. And it was awesome.
Were you the youngest person there?
Probably.
Don't lie. Don't lie. Straight up.
At that time I was.
Yes.
And dude, nobody took me seriously. And they had every right to do that. I had to earn my keep. I had to do the interviews. I had to work my way up until finally I had some time with Richard Dolan. And I said, could I just talk to you for like 10 minutes on my little iPhone here? And he was like, yeah, man, come up to my hotel room. Let's sit. Let's have a chat. And again, like, it took me 3-4 years to gather the courage and to gather the respect of people to do something like that.
How has it changed for you as an observer at the conferences? Was it an older generation back in 2011 versus now, where the age ranges may feel a little bit more diverse?
Yes, and not only that, not only age, but I mean, you look at gender, you look at ethnicity. I think this topic has diversified immensely, even since I got involved. I mean, yeah, 2011, maybe a little earlier, it was all, white dudes, gray hair, tweed suits, and that was it, man. And then maybe a couple rebels here and there working their way up. But now, I remember the last conference I went to, there were families there. There were kids there. Every religious, belief system, every ethnicity, every nationality showing up to these things. So I think it's awesome that finally a topic that could change humanity is being welcomed for all of humanity, not like this just one thing that we were used to seeing at these things.
Yeah, it blows my mind. I'll be at these conferences and have somebody 10, 11 years old, come up, Jimmy, can you sign my T-shirt? What? Are you kidding me? I listen to every show, man. Tell me, what's Richard Dolan like? Well, you want to meet him? He's right over there. Oh, and it blows my mind. You're absolutely right. Okay, I'm gonna share this because you know Richard Dolan well. I hope he's listening. The first night I met Richard, we're doing a live. This is 7 years ago. We're doing a live Fade to Black broadcast from MUFON. Right? Okay. So we got about 200 people there. And Richard gets off the plane, and he arrives, and I hadn't met him before. And I walk outside. We're all set up, lights, camera, action. You know, it's packed. And I go outside, and Richard's walking up. I'm not making this up, Ryan. This is exactly what happens. He looks at me and says, Jimmy, and I think he started to extend his hand, and he walks into a tree branch and knocks himself out. Boom. And he's like this. And I walk up to him, and he goes, and he's like cross-eyed. Am I okay? And I look, and on his forehead is a half a tennis ball. It's just whoop, and it's I was like, oh my God.
That'll make you humble really quick.
Man. And I felt so bad. And we drag him in. He's stunned, man. I mean, he's got this lump right in the middle of his forehead. We got cameras and things and this packed house. And so Rita comes up, she goes, I got my makeup bag. And he's like, how bad is it? She goes, come on. She drags him into the bathroom and is putting makeup on his head. He comes out, and now he's got now it's a half a tennis ball with makeup on it, right? How do I look? I go, you're fine, man. And I was thinking, that's gotta hurt. Anyway.
Oh, man. That's when you got to play it up, right? It's part of the Zeta Reticuli. Right?
Well, it was unreal, but you know what? He's a professional. Mm-hmm. So how did the idea for the book come about? And that's the reason why I'm bringing up Richard. I remember you being so excited about that. Who approached who?
So again, Dolan had been a hero of mine since I got involved. He is from Rochester, New York, which isn't too far from where I'm originally from, Syracuse, New York, which I thought was really cool. And I just remember, man, I mean, for years I'd been writing at that point for Open Minds. I'd been interviewing people, and I thought, what do I do with all this? I got all this research and stuff compiled. What do I do? I'll write a book. The naive person in me thought it would be that easy. So I remember excitedly reaching out to Rich and being like, hey, I want to write a book. He's like, oh, that's cool. What about? And I remember saying, I don't know. And he said, cool. Call me when you have an idea. And that's when I sat down and I thought, what can I do to contribute something new to this conversation of UFOs? And for years, I'd been a playwright in New York City at this point, struggling artist, waiting tables, attending bar, writing plays. And I thought, okay, I'm trained as a playwright to create characters and really get into the hearts and minds of these people, see what makes them tick, motivate. And I was taught as a playwright, your play has to be the most important person in that moment in that person's life, or why the hell are we dropped into their lives for this play? And I really took that to heart. And I thought, hey, let me put that into my UFO work. Let me look at these cases of these everyday people in all walks of life and how the event affected them. The event is one thing. How big was the craft? When did you see it? For how long? But when you really get to the core of the story and how it changed the person's life, I said, boom, that's it. I'm going to focus on the people having the experience and how it changed them and what that could inevitably tell us about the phenomenon itself. So that's what I brought to Rich. And he said, I haven't heard a concept like that before, where you put the microscope on the person rather than the event and how it changed them. Like that woman who told me about her abduction. Her husband was sitting next to her. She's squeezing his hand. But what does he think? His wife is saying she's been abducted by aliens on more than one occasion. Like, what does that do to your relationship? Or what if your priest says he was abducted by aliens and you're in a church? Like, how does that change how you perceive this person that you have put your faith into? So that's the approach I took, Jimmy, was to focus on the humans. And I went around the country and I interviewed hundreds of people, and it was probably the most rewarding experience in my life, and scariest and weirdest and everything in between.
Well, the book was well received, but now you're perceived differently, right? Did you start to choose your words a bit more carefully?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot changed. The first version of the book came out in 2016, and I've since released a second edition where I followed up with everyone from the first book. I interviewed a lot more people. So my research has changed. My outlook on the topic has changed. The first book came out pre-2017 article, and this huge shift we had after that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can't help but become embedded into the story that you're trying to ultimately write. So much has changed for me. I feel like I've become such a more level, grounded, and compassionate person because I can now put myself in these people's shoes. I wasn't there when the event happened to them, but I sure as hell saw something that changed my life. I know they did too. So yeah, man, I've gained such a respect and appreciation for people all over the world who are willing to come forward and talk about this and change that ridicule factor and shed that stigma that this topic's had for 70 plus years.
Yeah, we're in a good time right now with the subject. I've been involved with it for over 40 years, and this is like the first time where it's like we're all in a safe zone. We can talk about it with the cashier at the supermarket. You know, we strangers on the street, and you're not going to hear the X-Files music in the back of your head because you know that that's what they're thinking. No, it's a safer zone when you have Tucker Carlson, right, to back you up.
Yeah. And I mean, I always bring this up too, man. When I was in the dating scene in New York City, that first date, I would go to the bar, start talking to someone, and what do? Well, I'm a UFO researcher. You want to know how many second dates I got after that, man? Not many. Not many at all. But I have a loving, understanding partner now who's totally into this, totally supports me. And I think a lot of that has to do with how much the perception of this topic has changed.
Did you meet her at a UFO conference?
I did not. Thank God. She knew who Richard Dolan was when we first met, and that was it for me, man. I'm like, boom.
Oh, you're a rock star at that point. Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Ryan Sprague. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back after this short break and continue our conversation on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Old New England Soap is committed to producing the highest quality organic and goat milk soaps available anywhere. We take pride in using the purest ingredients and avoiding the typical shortcuts used by other soap makers. Because goat milk is what feeds your skin, we have formulated our soap to use the maximum amount of goat milk possible, 38%, more than double any other brand. Not because it's easy, but because our soap is always better. We are proud to offer you what we consider to be truly premium quality handmade soaps. What's more, our soap does not contain GMO ingredients, pesticides, sulfates, dyes, artificial colors, alcohol, or petroleum products. Try our new shampoo bar and pooch soap, and be sure to see all of the great scented Woodwick soy candles that burn soot-free for up to 100 hours. Right now, save 15% on your order and get free shipping on orders over $45. Buy now at oldnesoap.com. That's oldnesoap.com. Not available in stores. oldnesoap.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Ryan Sprague. And last year, websites shared over 100 trillion pieces of personal data. Your data, stolen data, data taken on users of various websites like the one that you are right now watching me on. Think about that. Now, I don't like being spied on by advertisers. I don't like being spied on by anybody, which is why I use Virtual Shield. Now, if you want to browse the internet anonymously and securely like I do, all you have to do, it's simple. Visit virtualshield.com/fade to black. You can go over to our website, click on all the banners and advertising that is over there. You can also click on the description box right below us at Virtual Shield VPN. Look around the studio. Look at all of these computers. Look at this technology. Everything runs on Virtual Shield VPN. Head over there and you will check out Virtual Shield VPN for free today. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Ryan Sprague, somewhere in the skies. All right, now I'm going to do something that, see, this is the thing. You host a TV show, great. You've got Somewhere in the Skies, the podcast, great. But tonight it's shifted. You're on the other side. Right? I get to ask the questions. I toe the line here. So I'm going to do some rapid fire stuff that you have probably never been forced to answer before. And it's going to be great. So let's start here. The one UFO case that isn't talked about enough and needs the recognition. What is it?
Ooh.
There's only one.
There's only one. Tehran.
Oh, you're going Iran.
1976, brother.
Ooh,
that is the first case I ever did an FOIA request for, got documentation, and I have John Greenwald to thank for leading me down the right direction, and those documents blew my mind, man.
Yeah, I'm with. You know what? There are so many that don't get mentioned, right? They just pass by us. But I'm in agreement with you there. I'm in agreement. Rendlesham for me is always the one that I bring up first. It's so famous now to this point, but we have all the witnesses and everybody is alive. You know, it's like full living color and in front of us. But if I'm going to go beyond that, Japan Airlines, Alaska, still that case blows my mind, and nobody talks about it enough. Socorro, New Mexico, is another one for me. Again, you know, Jesse Zamora, and it's covered really well in James Fox's new film. But you're right. Everybody brings up these cases that are in front of them so often. But Tehran, yeah, that is right there. Yeah.
Bucket list, man. Yeah.
Yeah, good call. Good call. Yeah, that was impressive. I didn't expect that. All right. Skinwalker.
So, I mean, I'm with the majority of the public on this one. I have absolutely no idea what the heck's going on there, man. But, oh, man, from the people I've talked to, I spoke to Brandon Fugel recently, the new owner of the ranch. Super nice guy. Genuinely looking for answers. It's why he bought the ranch. It's why he is making the information public and not answering to the government like the last owner of the ranch. So I'm excited to see the future of study that goes on there. It has a very interesting and controversial past, but I just go with what I've seen, what I've read, what I've listened to, whether it's George Knapp or the television show on History or Jeremy Corbell, you name it. Whoever's looked into the case, I just consume it all because, look, if that's a living laboratory of weirdness from UFOs to shadow people to ghosts to, big black wolves coming out of portals, we need to look in that. And we know that the government funded research into this place. So I think it's awesome. I would love to go there.
Okay. When we talk about Skinwalker, I'm not putting you on the spot, but when we talk about Skinwalker, we have the stories, compelling, no doubt, but a true lack of evidence, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen a picture of a portal or a vortex. I haven't seen Bigfoot step out of some crazy Stargate. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen any UFO footage. And, I haven't seen any of that. Does that concern you? Have you seen something I haven't?
To my knowledge, no, Jimmy. And I completely understand that, man. Like, that is a really good argument. My only, and I wouldn't even call it a defense, but like I mentioned, everything that was found from the previous owner had to be handed over to the government. So God only knows what evidence they had. Maybe it was nothing, or maybe it was something. But I'm excited to see the future of this study there. I mean, we have an owner who's more transparent and welcoming than we've had before. So who knows, man?
Yeah. My concern is twofold. And it's this. I want your comments. One, maybe Brandon wants to build a paranormal bed and breakfast. Maybe that's the goal. And that's not out of the question. Maybe there's the business side of it. There's that. And the other side of it is I don't want the TV show to turn into The Curse of Oak Island. Right? I don't want 15 seasons of tune in next time. Right? Where we don't get resolved. And that's my only concern. If it's there, just bring the evidence forward. I know that there are magical locations around the United States and where high strangeness happens. Skinwalker may very well be that, but let's see it. And that's my concern.
I completely understand that. And I as well hope that we don't drag this thing out for season after season after season. My only, I look at it this way. I have done some television work, but I look at it as an opportunity that I personally would not get if the television show didn't exist. So with my show, they had the resources to bring me to Roswell, to get metals that were found in the desert of the Roswell crash, to get them tested at a prominent aerospace lab in Los Angeles. Something me as an independent investigator never could have done. So someone like Brandon, what I think, and I've spoken to him about this personally, if a television show is going to come around and cover this topic and put money into it for you to go do the research, use them for all they're worth, Jimmy. And I'm just being completely honest, man. Like, if they want me to go on television and do this entertainment thing and get people to tune in next week, that's fine. That's television. That's the business. But I'm going to get what I can out of it as a serious UFO investigator. And look, there were leads in my television show that were brought to me by the researchers for the show that I now have continued to investigate cases afterwards.
Right.
So I think that's the exciting part, and in a benefit of something like a television show. But I do worry, as you do, that that's going to overshadow the actual research being done, for sure.
Bigfoot. As by the way, Ryan's wearing a Sasquatch coffee hat.
Yes,
for me.
I am. I have a warm place in my heart. When I lived in Los Angeles, I worked at a coffee shop called Coffee for Sasquatch. Huge Bigfoot on the wall. It was great, man. But on a more personal note, completely open to it. I have no reason to believe that there aren't creatures out there that we haven't discovered yet. And enough people have looked into it. Enough people have found evidence. And say what you will, some of it's very compelling. I think there's a strong possibility that there's more than one Bigfoot out there, for sure.
Do you think, what side of the fence are you on? A species that hasn't been discovered, that is, just a mammal that's walking around on two legs, that is avoiding humans? Or is there more of a paranormal, supernatural, interdimensional aspect to Bigfoot?
The old Bigfoot's a ghost sort of thing, right?
Could be.
Or an interdimensional being.
An alien. You know what I've always found strange? Lights in the sky, UFO sighting, Bigfoot sighting, at the same time. And I've always found that pretty compelling.
It happens. And I've come across cases that I went in to investigate a UFO case, and lo and behold, they also saw Bigfoot. So look, man, I can't deny the compelling evidence that that's possible. But for me, I believe it's a flesh and blood creature, and it has survived for so long without being, seen or heard, or a body been found, that I honestly think it's probably the best elusive creature out there, able to track without being seen nor heard. So for me, it comes down to an extremely smart and just incredible creature. Yeah.
I've always leaned on the more interdimensional side of this, of lack of bodies, lack of anything, or DNA and corpses and stuff. So I've always leaned on that side. And then I just recently drove from Los Angeles to Canada and back, and by myself. And when you do that drive through the redwood forest, and you're just looking out for hours, for miles, and all you can think to yourself is, no human has ever set foot in those woods, right? Yeah. Anything could be walking through there. And I just find myself pulling myself into this other reality of maybe it's just a species that doesn't want to hang out with us. And I'm like a walking paradox, Ryan.
I wouldn't blame them, man, for not wanting to be around us, especially right now. But I talked to a Bigfoot tracker, and I asked him that same question. We dealing with flesh and blood here, or what's going on?
Right.
I said, why have we never found a body? And he brought up a very good argument. You look at most creatures that live in the woods, if they're going to die, they have an instinct to go somewhere hidden, to do that. That's in their nature to do that. And a deer, a bear, if they know something's wrong and they can sense that They don't got much longer on this mortal coil. They're going to go somewhere and do it in private. So I've always kind of kept that in mind of, maybe that's the case why we haven't found the body yet. I don't know.
Alien abductions.
This might surprise you, but I'm extremely skeptical of the alien abduction phenomenon. I've also interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people who've claimed it. And it's tough, man. I struggle with it. I change my mind every other day. I've seen compelling evidence, whether it's supposed implants or hypnotic regression sessions. But look, there's a lot in the world we don't know, we don't understand about the human brain, how it acts, how it does what it does. So, like I said, when I talked to that woman and she bawled in front of me crying, something happened to her. Like, clearly, she believes this happened to her, and I wasn't there. You know, that's kind of the safest, most passive thing a UFO researcher could say, but it's true. I wasn't there when this thing happened, so...
and then you have Travis Walton, right?
Dude, that one, when people ask me what's a credible abduction case, that's the first one I always go to. Talked to him on several occasions, have been looking at the case for years, and I don't see a reason for him to have ever made this thing up. So that's the case, man. That's my golden goose when it comes to abductions.
The United States government is in possession of a crash flying saucer.
I tend to believe that. I do. From the recent quotes by Eric Davis to the the Pentagon and the DoD that we have that. I've looked into the Roswell case extensively. I've touched metals that could have been from 47 that were out there and had them tested, like I mentioned earlier. Extremely interesting results that we came up with. I think at one point in our history, if not more, something has crashed, and that the U.S. specifically is in possession of that. I do believe that.
The inner Earth.
Ooh. I believe it. Ultra-terrestrial theory. I'm totally into it. I think it makes sense. Where there's been a lot of chatter lately about UFOs coming out from the water. So I tend to think, hey, maybe these things have been living underwater or in the earth for centuries and centuries at this point. And that's how they come in and out, man. I don't know. I'm totally open to it.
Ancient aliens.
Ooh. I hope Giorgio isn't listening to this.
He is.
He is.
He's a huge fan of the show. He's in lockdown right now. I guarantee you, 7 p.m. in Burbank. He's right here. I'll get it to Giorgio. If you're listening, text me.
You know what, man? That's so funny you mentioned that. I maybe a week ago he messaged me and he said, "Hey, you left your sunglasses at Prometheus." And I was like, what's this guy talking about? Lo and behold, like maybe a year and a half ago, I went out to LA to meet with the Ancient Aliens producers, and I left a pair of sunglasses there. So the guy, I love him. He's got such a good sense of humor and humility with this whole thing. And he's a fun guy. The Ancient Alien theory, I'm open to it. I think it's extremely interesting. And look, that show has gotten so many people interested in this topic. Like I said, when I go to UFO Congress or Alien Con, I mean, there's families there. And I always ask, what got you interested? Ancient aliens.
Mm-hmm.
So, man, if that can be a gateway for a lot of people out there to get interested in this topic, to question what they've been taught their entire lives about history, I think that's great. There's a fine line between conspiracy theory and that, but I think it's very possible that we have had intervention every now and again. But I also like to give humans credit where credit is due. And I think a lot of the incredible things in our world, the pyramids and structures that have been built, they were built by extremely advanced human beings with an intelligence that we can only begin to understand. And like I said, give humans credit where where I think they deserve it.
MJ12.
Oof. I'm still on the fence. I think with anything in the UFO field, it's a sandwich of disinformation with a little bit of truth meat in the middle, man. I think there's some truth to some of what has been documented in those, but I remember months before Stanton Friedman, before we lost him, I asked him, where do you stand now, your life some 50 years later, on the MJ12 documents that you defended your whole life? And he said, I will be honest, I'm erring on the side of I don't think it was real. And that blew my mind, man, when like Stan Friedman, the one person who's just lived these things his whole life, was willing to finally come forward and say that. So yeah, I think that it's messy, it's muddy, but what isn't in this field at this point?
The Anunnaki.
Ooh. I don't know enough about the history of it. So I can't pretend to have an answer for that one, man. I'm just being completely honest with you.
No, that's fine. And I'm just touching on these. I wrote out a list of things I wanted to pick your brain on.
I love it.
And the next one, Project Serpo.
Ooh, I just watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind 2 nights ago.
What, for the first time?
No.
Okay.
For the first time in a while. And I mean, there's the last few moments of that movie played out in Project Serpo. I don't put much stock into it. I don't think there was an exchange program of humans for aliens, aliens for humans. But hey, I've been wrong many times before. Maybe we'll find out it was real someday.
Billy Meyer. I'm watching Ryan squirm, everybody. He's
You got me, yeah, man, on my toes.
Oh, wait till you hear the next one. Okay, but let's focus on Billy Meyer. Okay, we talked earlier about having your heart broken. Billy Meyer was my first heartbreak.
Me too. I mean, those photos were what I first looked at.
Me
when
too.
I was 12, 13 years old.
Same thing here. Same thing.
Oh my God, man. And you know, it's so famous that it became the X-Files poster, right?
Right.
Again, heartbroken when I find out that UFO in the I Want to Believe poster was Billy Myers. I don't buy into it. I'm sorry. I think for a lot of these people who become as big as someone like him has, you have a legitimate, genuine experience, and then from there it's just building and trying to, you know, kind of
top yourself.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of what happened with Billy. I think maybe the dude had a genuine experience, but there's just so much evidence to prove that what he has done and what we know is just completely a hoax. I'm going to be honest.
Bob Lazar.
I had a feeling that one was going to come up. I believe Bob Lazar. Hold on. I believe Bob Lazar did what he said he did and saw what he says he saw. What that was is completely up for speculation. I think this dude could have been played from the very start. That what he was brought into was something completely different, and they were feeding him this stuff, man. So if he ever did come out with what he was reverse engineering there, which could have been Chinese, could have been Russian, I don't know. They said, give him the alien story and let it just run and see what happens. So I've met him. I've talked to him. He seems like a genuine, smart guy. But what do you do when there's documented proof that someone lied about their education, about their knowledge on things? That's tough. So, oh, man. That one, I'm on the fence, but I believe Bob did some stuff out there at S4. What it was, couldn't tell you.
Let's
I feel like I let you down, man.
No. Bob was my other heartbreak.
Okay.
You know, and up until very recently, I was okay with the holes in the story. I was okay with it. Not to get into details, but there were a couple of other things that surfaced in the last couple of years where I just had to back up. And it was tough for me to do. Rita will tell you that I forced her over the last 20 years to over and over again go through all of Bob's original statements and presentations and videos. And I watched him over and over again, trying to get him to slip up. And I was convinced that he was telling the truth. And I watched it. And so for me to back off of, a 25-year investment into Bob was a tough thing for me to do. And so no, I got in a brutal conversation on stage with Stanton Friedman.
Yeah.
And it was something where after this, Ryan, Stanton and I were off to the side of the stage. This is in front of like 1,500 people. Man, this is no joke. And we went off the side of the stage, and I go, Stanton, I'm sorry. And he hit me on the side of the shoulder and goes, you did okay, kid. And
See,
well, but
there you go.
But the point being that I should have listened to others. We are blind too much. We're blind in our dedication. And there are people in the UFO community that are respected and looked up to, where sometimes our ability to remain objective is something that we lose sight of. And it's something that we're all proud of. Oh, I'm objective. I'll put up the fight on this. I do my research. But we don't always do that, do we?
No. And we're all guilty of it, man. I mean, I've had that tunnel vision on many occasions. I looked at Rendlesham for, 8 years straight. That was the only case I was looking into. I was writing a play in New York City about the Rendlesham event.
I remember that.
I was deep in, man. I was dedicated. I thought Larry Warren was like the most coolest, badass whistleblower of all time. And we know where that all led with the Rendlesham case and the controversy with that. And it happens. And I think, like I said, someone like Peter Robbins, my mentor, who worked with a liar, a deceitful person who put a really big black eye in the entire Rendlesham event. The fact that Peter Robbins can come forward and say, I was wrong. That was
a tough statement for him to write.
Yo, man, that's when I truly decided this is my mentor. Someone who can come forward, admit when they're wrong, admit their mistakes, and say, it's just a classy move. And I wish more UFO researchers were willing to do that when they know that something's not true or isn't on the up and up, or just flat out change their mind. I know I've been wrong in the past on things, and I try to change that as best I can. So yeah, this is not the field for you if you think that you're right all the time, because
it's not. It is not black and white. Absolutely not. Let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Ryan Sprague. I've been waiting for this show for a very long time. The conversation will continue after this short break. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to getthetea.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's getthetea.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend. Let's face it, you've always wanted to do a sky watch and see your first UFO. Today, it's easy. Just get your own HP7 3B Cobalt Jimmy Church Edition night vision goggles from Hoffman's Optics. This is the same U.S. military system that I use, featuring a Generation 3 blue phosphor image tube. That's right, it's blue, not black and green. This is the only blue system in the world, and it's waterproof, lightweight, combat-proof, simple to use, and ready to go. Hoffman's Optics help create night vision sky watches, and now you can see what everyone has been talking about each night from your own backyard. Just call 760-231-9929. That's 760-231-9929. You can click on the banners on our site or visit UFOnightvisiongoggles.com. That's UFOnightvisiongoggles.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRAradio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Ryan Sprague. Want to remind everybody, tomorrow night, James Fox is here. We're talking about his new documentary, The Phenomenon. We've been covering it for the last couple of years here on the show with James. And then Wednesday night, Ronnie Dugdale, Rendlesham, live from the UK. And I can't believe I'm saying this. Thursday night is Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas, everybody. And we will do Fader night on Thursday open lines all night long. Ryan, one of these nights, we've got to get you on to answer the phones with me.
Absolutely, man. I would love that.
Man, you have no idea how cool it is. You have no idea. It is the absolute best. Now, I want to talk about young guns. And do you consider yourself one of the young guns of ufology?
At one point I did. Yeah, and I was very proud of that, and I will always hold that badge and that honor of being one of the younger people to have gotten involved with this topic on a, I guess, a semi-professional level. But like I said, man, I'm getting emails from people in high school, in college, saying, "Hey, I'm writing a paper about UFOs. Your name popped up online. I'd love to talk to you about it." And that, like I said, is so refreshing. If I can no longer be the young gun, I think we're doing a good job of getting younger people involved with this topic that it has severely lacked for a really long time.
Do you hang out in the young gun community that is out there?
Hashtag UFO Twitter, man.
That's right. Yeah, hashtag. I haven't done it. I haven't jumped into there, but tell me about it.
It's an interesting place. It really is. I mean, there's a lot of good conversations going on over there with some very passionate people. I mean, and again, these are a lot of people who have sort of popped up in the last few years since the New York Times story broke and TTSA, this, that. And it's been cool to connect and meet all these young, passionate people interested in the topic. But my concern for some of them is what you brought up earlier, is they don't know the history. They don't know that we've had companies come along in the past who promised disclosure and then they turn around and it never happened. So I think if there's anything I can say to the young people out there who might be listening to you right now, is do your homework and don't be afraid to ask questions and don't believe the first thing you come across, because that's not going to do you any good, man. So yeah, I think young guns is a good way to look at it, but I don't think it's the only way to look at it.
Well, and that's certainly good advice. But what about jumping in to the deep end of the pool, right? And absolutely getting committed before it's the heartbreak in the end, which so many find themselves having.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I went into it blind and I had to learn along the way, and I stumbled and I decided I was no longer going to pursue this avenue of research because I trusted the people telling me that you don't want to do that. So if you can find one person in this field who you trust, who you can look up to, that they don't have to be older than you. You know how many people are younger than me now that I go to for information? It's amazing. It's awesome. But you form that bond of trust, and it takes a lot to break that. So I've dived in head deep and come out on the other side more confused and with more questions than I ever had answers. And that doesn't change. Even when you do go down the right paths and do the research, you're not gonna. It's hard, man. It's hard.
Now, how do you trust these days? You know, how are you using discernment on these different subjects? And before you answer that, the next question is going to be about the Pentagon and what is going on. Mm-hmm. So how do you build the wall?
I would like to say that I pride myself on good judgment of people and a gut feeling of when I'm being lied to or when I'm being deceived. I could be wrong, but I think at this point in my research, I have built up those skills to sort of be able to discern between someone giving me complete BS or, tiptoeing around something and not. So it's not easy, man. It's not easy.
These the generations, it's now plural. If we go back 25, 30 years, millennials and Zers and Xers and things, that the internet is now a focal point of if something is on the internet, then we can trust it if it has gone that far. And I think that is a very, very dangerous zone. The old school way of doing things, like you had mentioned earlier, getting in your car, going to a location, interviewing somebody on location, taking pictures. Now it is so focused on the internet where this research is done in front of a computer and isn't done in a physical sense. And these generations now today depend on the internet and what is fed to them. How dangerous is that?
It's very dangerous. I mean, and that goes far beyond the UFO topic. I mean, we have conspiracy theories out there that have caused people to go out and do horrendous things to their fellow human being. So I think it's hard. We live in an age now where we can't tell up from down, left from right, who's telling the truth, who's not, what's fake news, what isn't. Do I do this? Do I do that? It's maddening and it's confusing. So when it comes to this topic, it just amplifies that because it's a topic with so much history and so much baggage that you don't know where to go, who to turn to, especially when you have the Pentagon saying, yeah, we're going to create a task force, look into UFOs. And everyone says, yeah, awesome. The government's looking into it. And that's when I'm like, whoa, guys, hold the brakes here. Like, this is the same government that for 70 plus years you've said has been lying to you. And now the minute they say, we got you guys, we're going to look into this, we're going to find some answers, boom. And then we're so quick to say, awesome, yay, Pentagon. So I struggle, man. While I think it's cool that there's a UAP task force that's going to look into it, at the same time, I'm like, yeah. And that's also the same people who created Project Blue Book to explain away everything and tell their investigators and their hired astronomers, just tell them it was this. Okay, let's just get this monkey off our back and move on. History repeats itself. And I've been told that by the old guard when TTSA first came around. I was so excited. And they said, Ryan, we've seen this twice before where groups have come around and said, we're going to get everything for you guys. We've got insiders in the government who are going to give us information. And maybe they are. Who's to say? I mean, we found 2 leaked reports over at the Debrief of what the Pentagon is looking at. And that had to come from people leaking that to us. It wasn't the Pentagon being transparent and saying, hey, public, remember we said we were going to give you stuff? Here it is. Because they're not, Jimmy. They're not. I know that for a fact. I've talked to the Pentagon spokesperson. And I asked, are we going to get anything? And they said, in so many words, as they do, no, it's not going to happen.
Why was it that we have 2 different approaches to the Pentagon right now? The UFO community in general, we're not trusting the man. We'll ride this out. We'll hold back and see what happens. And then we have the other side outside of the UFO community that is right there and ready to embrace and trust the Pentagon for disclosure. Why don't others listen to the UFO community when we're saying, they say, not so fast. We've been down this road.
I think, again, I mean, for 70 plus years, we've been screaming, the government's covering this up. It started in 47. It's gone on ever since then. And then, boom, that story drops and people came out of the woodwork and said, whoa, like the government's looking into UFOs. Yeah. And they have been since 47. Or when Blue Book was around, or Grudge, or Sign, or whatnot. And it was all an exercise in publicity to tell the public everything's okay, national security's fine, and we're seeing that play out today as well with the UAP task force. And I'm not saying that this isn't a groundbreaking thing. It is. It's big. It's huge. But at the same time, man, we have to look at what has happened before and make sure it doesn't happen again. And I think we have diligent citizen journalists who are forcing the Department of Defense into the corner to make a statement or to make a comment. Or we do have intel people leaking Navy UFO videos to the New York Times. And that's how we're going to get our information. Is that the way we want it? Probably not. We want that grand disclosure of the government saying, ladies and gentlemen, aliens are real. We've known about it. It's never going to happen.
Well, when we talk about heartbreak, certainly with this new generation right now that has got interest in the UFO topic because of what has happened with the New York Times since December 2017 and what TTSA represents, and this is the moment. If TTSA folds, if they pull up their stakes and close down, think about all of those supporters that went into this blind and are going to taste the heartache that so many of us, and heartbreak that so many of us have went through before. I don't think that they're prepared really for something like this when they have absolutely dedicated so much time and belief into this Pentagon TTSA disclosure situation.
Absolutely, man. And I said this from the very start when TTSA came around. I told these people, don't put all your eggs in this basket, guys. For every military UFO encounter that TTSA might look into and bring to the public, there's 100 civilian witnesses who had a UFO sighting that is just as credible. We look to pilots, we look to military as these shining examples of a witness. And they are, to an extent. They're trained observers. And I understand that completely. I would never take that away from them. But we also have people in every walks of life, police officers and baristas and everyone you could think of out there having experiences. So I said, look, let TSA do their thing, but keep doing your work. And keep looking for people out there who've had these experiences as well. TTSA is a tiny cog in this machine of this mystery. And, you know, companies come and go. I mean, I heard rumors as early as this morning that very prominent members of TTSA are calling it quits and walking away. We don't know why. This might just be speculation. I cannot really confirm that. But you're right, man. If this company goes away, what's going to happen to all those people? I hope they will stick around and see that there's much more to this topic than just this one company that's come around in the last few years.
What happens, that's a pretty frightening thought because you have investors and shareholders, right, that believed in the mission. Companies go all the time, and if you're a shareholder and they bankrupt or they fold, they just do. In this case, it's different. This is the UFO question where people are emotionally invested into TTSA. They're not investing into Tesla or General Motors or Verizon or Starbucks. This is UFO technology to benefit humanity, right? And that's a whole nother reason for investment. What happens to the shareholders and their emotional investment into TTSA?
Your guess is as good as mine. All I could say is if you didn't go into this investing and knowing that you might not get something out of it at the end of the tunnel, that's your thing to struggle with and to deal with. And that's why I never supported them financially, because everyone has ambitions to find answers. And maybe DeLong will find answers for himself or for the public. But at the end of the day, man, it doesn't matter what organization is doing it, MUFON or TTSA. Like, people are interested in this topic for themselves. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. I mean, if you had a UFO sighting, you want to figure out what that was. You're not out there to tell the billions of people on the planet we are not alone. You're there to try to uncover what happened to you personally. This is a deeply personal topic, for, like you said, for so many people. There's so many layers to put on top of it when it comes to that and what they want out of it. So I said from the start, temper your expectations And just know that nothing is forever, and and we're kind of seeing that happen right now. You know.
Well, we're heading to. I'm going to keep you over for overtime. Are you down? Okay,
Totally.
so you're committed to that.
You got it, man.
Okay, he's committed. Normally at this time, the Twitter starts lighting up and asking me for overtime. So before that happens, we've just gotten that out of the way. What is your, and we're going to talk about this when we come back, what is your definition of disclosure? It means so much to so many people, but it's always just a slightly different take. So when you think about disclosure, what's your definition?
Person by person. I do not believe we're ever going to get that grand disclosure of saucer on the White House lawn, or a world leader saying, here it is. It's not going to happen. I just don't personally believe that. I believe that every person who saw something that they can't explain, that's disclosure for them. Or maybe the New York Times article was disclosure.
That's not a good enough statement for so many.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm well aware of that. And again, if people take issue with that, that's okay, because I think that every small disclosure of a person experiencing this is going to lead to that overall perception of this topic at the end of the day.
Were you at Contact in the Desert 2 years ago?
I was not. I was supposed to go right before the pandemic to speak, and I didn't get my opportunity, unfortunately.
Okay, so 2 years ago. Well, 2 years ago, each Contact on Sunday night, I host the closing panel and ceremony and stuff, and it's a pretty good. It's an honor and a privilege. But what happens on Sunday night is, because it is the end, everybody's packed in the giant room. I don't know, 2,000 people, right? It's pretty intense. And so I'm hosting the closing panel, Ryan, and I made the mistake of saying to 2,000 people, I don't need disclosure. I've seen what I've seen, right?
Yeah.
The boos were deafening. Okay, and everybody squirmed on the panel. I mean, everybody's on that panel. I've got Linda, I've got Peter Levenda, I've got Richard Dolan, I think Jason Quit. There was 10, 12 people on this panel, and the squirming that was there because of the boos, right? And I said, so what is it that everybody here needs? Do you need the president to step up to the microphone? Is that disclosure? Eruption of applause, right? And so when I say what you just said here, which is my view too as well, that's not good enough, right? For everybody out there that is emotionally invested here, they need their leader to step up and say, this is what is going on. And anything short of that isn't disclosure.
That's tough. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer to that. I think, again, it's such a personal thing. I don't know why you would need your government to tell you this when they're looking into the topic and they seem to have no answers either. I personally, Jimmy, while we may have a crashed craft or wreckage or possibly even a body, I couldn't tell you. I don't think the government knows even a fraction of what's going on with this topic. And that's scary in one sense, but understandable in another. So I don't understand why people need a world leader or the government to tell them that this is happening, because it's happening every day all around the world. And look, if this UAP task force, if these leaked reports that we've seen in the past couple weeks or so are of any indication, that's kind of troubling to me, that they have a photo of a possible balloon in the air, and that's all we got, and that it's two people sitting at a desk looking at this thing. That's troubling for me. So why put all of your trust into the government, who A, either isn't taking it seriously, which is why someone like Luis Elizondo left the Pentagon program, because he wasn't getting the seriousness that the topic deserved, and B, you don't need that. You don't need that. So I'm absorbing those boos you got, man, because I can't even begin to understand what that must have felt like. But I think you did the right thing. I honestly do.
Well, you know, for me, when I've seen what I have seen, and when I say that I don't need disclosure, I don't, because I've seen what I've seen. But for others out there, they could really give a rat's ass of what I have seen. It is their own personal experience, why they are part of this community, and they've been ridiculed, you know, their entire lives on this subject. And the only thing that is going to give them the satisfaction, the closure of all of this, is to have the president, you know, on live television saying we are not alone, and we've never been alone, and we've made contact, and we're continuing to make contact. ET is here. Anything short of that is not acceptable.
All I can say to those people is I think you're going to be let down, and you're going to not like the answers you get. If we ever do get those answers in the form of an official acknowledgement and disclosure by the government, half the people aren't going to believe it, first of all, and the other half are still going to have a million questions after that, and a lot for the government to answer for, of why they've covered it up for so long. So I just can't get behind that movement of big D disclosure, as it were. I never have been. I don't think I ever will be, until I'm proven wrong and some president does it someday, and it could happen. It could happen, man. But I will eat crow at that point.
Send all of your email to Ryan Sprague at gmail.com. With that, let's take our break, Ryan. Stay right there. Let's go and do some overtime. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can follow Ryan at Somewhere in the Skies. It's right there. We've got it up in our Twitter feed. We'll be right back after this short break. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
Listen to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roasted to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to forbiddenknowledge.tv. That's forbidden knowledge with the number 4, forbiddenknowledge.tv. Again, visit forbiddenknowledge.tv today.
The older we get, the more important it is to stay active and healthy. I exercise regularly, eat right, but recently some new aches and pains have really put a cramp in my routine. A good friend recently told me about Angioprim. She said Angioprim is the original liquid oral chelation supplement, helping people since 2003. Chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, calcium, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages and lead to unexplained pain. Research shows the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that may help promote good cardiovascular health. After a few weeks of taking Angioprim, my pain was gone. Now I'm back and more physically active than ever. Find out more. Go to angioprim.com, ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim right now, 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back. Fade to Black, Overtime with Ryan Sprague. Took 7 years. Took 7 years, but I got to Overtime with Ryan Sprague. I'm so excited. Okay. Ryan, let's suppose a hypothetical here. You are sent and are in the possession of documents and video that will blow the UFO question out of the water and change history. But you are told to keep it to yourself. Do you become a martyr? Are you the next Edward Snowden?
Wow. The old ethics question, right? I struggle with this, man. I feel like I've thought about this and I change my mind every time. I think I would take the chance and I would give it out to the public.
That's the only way
really
to go.
do.
That's the only way to go.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that from a strictly altruistic sense. I just think that if I am going to be privy to that information, everyone should. I think everyone has that right. And I think everyone pays for that right. Whether it's through your taxes or through, other means like that, I think we all deserve that truth. I do. So while I may not believe that grand disclosure is ever going to happen, you could bet your ass if I ever got those documents that I would try to make it happen for sure.
The way that Richard Dolan addressed this in AD after disclosure, I've often thought that the big D, right, disclosure, is going to be out of the government's control, right? That's how I think it's going to happen, right? I don't know if it's going to be a white hat, anonymous hack of computer systems and and a document dump, or the proverbial flight over Los Angeles, right, in front of everybody. But it's going to be something that is out of the government's control, right? Do you think that that's how that's a real possibility?
I do. I think if that ever happens, it will be a sort of WikiLeaks scenario, or if the government has a reason for coming forward and doing that disclosure, it's going to be a process. I don't think it's going to be an overnight thing of a grand announcement. I think if it's going to happen, it's been happening, and we're being conditioned to get ready for that.
Are we
in
seeing
some ways.
Well, okay. Are we seeing that now? You know, where it's pretty much daily. It's getting clouded in the other controversies and headlines today in the news. But it's exoplanets being discovered. It's fast radio bursts. It's the search for alien life. It's the amount of habitable planets in our galaxy. It seems like combine that with everything else that's happening with Tucker Carlson. It certainly seems that aliens are in the headlines today. Is that part of it? Is this some kind of grand acclamation process?
In a way, I don't think this all exists in a vacuum. I think these announcements, like, the one earlier this year about Venus, or these messages that we just might have gotten from
Alpha Centauri. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Close star system. I think those exist on their own as incredible developments in the possibility of life being out there. I don't think that the government is saying, let's put this out here, let's put this out here. I think most of the time, man, they're just playing damage control. When they released those Navy UFO videos officially by the DoD, that video had been online for like 3-4 years at that point. And also, like, the New York Times came out with the story because they got the information, and then they were forced to backtrack on their statements, their previous statements. So yeah, man, I in one way, there could be a sort of small drip feed of maybe this, that. But at the end of the day, I think the government, which, I have a problem with as well, is what is this monolith of a government? That doesn't exist. It's hundreds of thousands of people working in different, departments who don't talk to the person next to them about anything. I don't think they have the wherewithal or the capabilities to have covered this up for so long. I just don't believe that. I think they're just as blind as citizens are on what UFOs truly represent. They might have a little bit more insider knowledge, but I don't think they have a clue what's going on, what these UFOs are. But they can control the information that gets out to the public.
Now, okay, so then let's go back to history a little bit. So much of it has become UFO dogma. The stories have been repeated for so long, but we go back to the Eisenhower Treaty with aliens, and this communication that has been ongoing for 40, 50, 60 years. Is that something that is, urban legend? It's repeated enough that it becomes, part of our truth, right?
Yeah.
How do we deal with that?
That's a struggle, man, because, you could ask that question of many things. If we have A-Tip looking at a couple blurry Navy UFO videos, what about these 9 craft that Bob Lazar said he supposedly worked on? Shouldn't that be part of the equation that the government is looking at? Yet they're not. Or what about the Eisenhower Treaty? Doesn't that play into all this? Because if it does, why are we still stuck on a couple blurry videos from gun camera footage? So it's hard, man. And I don't know what to make of that. While we look to the government for this information, it's becoming abundantly clear that either all of these things are a mythology we've created throughout the decades, whether it's Lazar's claims or Billy Meyer or, the Aztec UFO crash, what have you, Project Serpo. If those actually happen, why is our government looking at a couple blurry videos and that's what they consider UFO investigation? I have a hard time with that. So I don't know what to make of all of it. Are these all just stories that have been built up throughout the years? Possibly. I shouldn't say probably. I don't know. But if so, I think we have a lot more that we could be looking at than just a couple reports of a craft over the Pacific Ocean.
Now, the UAP task force, when we look at that and the Senate Intelligence Committee and this use of those three letters, UAP, is the conversation with the Senate and the UAP task force of an alien conversation, not of this Earth from outside of our solar system conversation, or is the UAP conversation a conversation about China and Russian technology?
When it comes to any government-funded program, especially the Pentagon, they are looking at this as a threat. I mean, it was in the name of the Pentagon program. You want funding, put threat in your title, man. That's all you got to do to get some money from the government to look into things. So with this task force or this bill, I think it's either a political move or it's about national security. So, yeah, let's say we're going to look into UFOs. Maybe we can get some more money out of that to pump into this thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I think, the fact that they're looking at the topic is exciting, and I'll take what I can get. If we're going to get some of these reports on stuff, that's awesome. But again, just like with TTSA, I think people really, really need to temper their expectations, because if there's anything I learned from speaking to the Pentagon spokesperson, it's that we're not going to get anything from these because they're classified.
Yeah, okay. And I'm going to restructure the question again because I agree with you. My point is these senators on the Senate Intelligence Committee, is their conversation about aliens, not of this earth. Is that the conversation that these senators are having?
It's very possible.
Really?
I mean, I think that someone like Marco Rubio, who kind of started this bill, got the thing in motion, is looking at it as a national security issue. That's fine. But then you have someone like Harry Reid, who originally started the ATIP program and getting funding for it, still to this day has said it's very possible this could be from another planet. And when you have someone like Elizondo or Chris Mellon or people like this saying, we don't think it's Russian, we don't think it's Chinese, I put stock into that. A little bit, at least.
Well, aren't we forced into reading between the lines in their statements, though? Everybody stops, right? The conversation goes forward, but then stops at the point of UFOs and little green men, right? It doesn't go that far, right? They allude and force us to read between the lines. I'm excited about reading between the lines, but nobody has crossed that Rubicon like Marco Rubio. He came close, right? Harry Reid has been close. Christopher Mellon has been close, right? It's always right up to the edge, but nobody wants to jump into, take me to your leader.
Yeah, nobody wants to be that person. And all I can hope for is that as this topic continues, and more people get interested and involved, and that stigma starts to shed away, as I think it is, especially within the military. I mean, I talked to a Navy guy the other day who had 5 UFO sightings, man, over a naval air station in California. And of course, my first question is, did you report any of these events? He said, no, I tried the first time, and my superior told me stop drinking on the job. So that's changing, and our military people are now feeling empowered to come forward. And that sets a huge precedent for these military cases if you put a lot of stock into that. So who knows? I hope it gets to the point where someone is willing to say it's alien or it's interdimensional or it's us from the future, other than it's a national security
Right,
threat.
right. And that's a problem. And when because I believe, I've seen what I've seen, right? Okay, that's it. I don't know who or what it is, but I know that it's certainly not our technology. When we bring in somebody like Dave Fravor and everybody from the Princeton and everybody from the battle group that has come forward and spoken about this, when you hear their description of the events, and it's certainly with Dave Fravor, who's got probably the most compelling part of all of this. Is it alien what they saw? Based on what you have heard, is this not of this earth? Being very frank here, right? I'm not of this earth, or was it something that was technology from us?
I sat down for almost 3 hours with Kevin Day, the radar operator, during the Nimitz event, and I flat out asked him that too. Dude, like, just be straight with me. Is this alien? And he had no problem telling me, I think so. I think so. And that says a lot. That really does to me, especially someone like Fravor. And the way that these craft are maneuvering, Jimmy, I mean, I don't care how superior your technology is in Japan or Russia or China. The things these things are doing, the way they're maneuvering, defying physics, defying logic, defying space and time at points, no government, no nation has those capabilities, in my opinion. And that might mean nothing to somebody. But when you have these people who are our most sophisticated pilots in our most sophisticated aircraft being outmaneuvered by these things, it just, what else could it be? What else could it be?
And then we have to ask the obvious question. Why just the United States military? I have to just back up and go, wait a minute. This has got to be going on with China's Navy, with China's Air Force. They're not talking about it. Russia's got to be going through the same thing. The United Kingdom, Brazil, Mexico, right? Yeah. These countries around the world. Why just the United States military? And I have an issue with that. All right, I can't figure it out. I can't connect the dots.
Yeah, it is a global phenomenon. It always has been. It always will be. But you're right. There are governments in other countries that have taken this thing seriously for a lot longer than the United States has, and have looked into it extensively. Brazil, France. France is probably one of the biggest that has looked at
Argentina,
this
Chile.
Yeah, man. And I wish the United States could take after that and say, all right, let's do this. Let's be serious. Let's not tell our Navy pilots that they were drunk when they report this. Like, let's do this, because this could change everything. This could change. And we do often look at it from a very Western perception of the United States, Roswell, Chicago, O'Hare, whatever, what have you. We look at it from the United States when these things are happening at an alarming rate all over the world, all over our nuclear facilities around the world. So that tells you something too.
Well, why is it that Russia or China or another country, another state actor, hasn't come forward and said, same thing happened to our military? Tic-tac, 80,000 feet, sea level, under the ground, pipes going into the ocean, refill the ship. We've got it on video too. Our pilots are right here. Let's compare our situations and let's try to move forward with this. Why hasn't that happened?
It's a game. I think it's a game. Any military that could be in possession of that technology, it's game over, man. Like, you have it. You got it. You could be the superpower for the rest of human history if you get that tic-tac, if you reverse engineer that technology, if you're able to use that to your advantage, whether it's for national security or other reasons, whether you implement that into what have you, to save people's lives, whatever it is, if you're the nation that has that technology, you're going to hold that pretty darn close to the chest. So, maybe something alien did crash in Roswell, but we're sure as heck not going to tell the world that we are now in possession of alien wreckage, because there's their ace in the hole, man, for when they need that some 75 years later. I don't know.
Are you suggesting, and if you are, I'm agreeing with you, that possibly the Tic Tac was reverse engineered alien technology with some kind of anti-gravitic ability to do these fantastical, but it's a Russian advancement of this technology, that they were the ones that backward, and that's why they aren't saying anything. Because if it's us and we backwards engineered this technology, that's a different situation, and we're testing on our own military. But could it be the opposite? Could it be the Russians that have backwards engineered this? Is this what you're suggesting?
I would be comfortable saying that. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's possible. I don't think our own military would throw that technology up against another branch of the military. Let's say it was the Air Force, the United States Air Force, who had this technology, and they were testing the Navy's reaction to it. That would never happen. It would be too dangerous in that sense. So maybe it was a rival nation who had this technology and did that.
Yeah, well, then we have the other problem. We tested nuclear weapons on our own soldiers, right?
Yeah.
Just duck and cover, right? We're going to blow this bomb up in front of you. Just you're going to be okay. Just tell us how you feel after we're done. Yeah. And I want to continue on this path, and there's a reason. When it comes to those 3 videos and the way that they were revealed, the first one was out for 15 years on the internet, since 2007, whatever that is. But there is more footage there in all 3 of those videos. We're only seeing a short snippet of it. Why is that? Why? The gun camera footage didn't stop at 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
There is a lot of footage there. Why not just bring that forward? Is it because it would just explain away and make it more mundane and not as fantastical?
That's a strong possibility. When I talked to the radar operator, we see one Tic Tac in that video. This guy told me there was hundreds of these things, man. It was literally raining UFOs, he said. So, yeah, there's more to these videos. Several of the Princeton members have said that what they saw was crystal clear. So there's that, even though what we're seeing in the video is pretty blurry. So I do think these videos are probably longer, but it really depends on which way you go with it. Is there more to them or is there less to them? I don't know. Why are we only seeing 30 seconds of it? Is that what's been declassified? Because whatever happened before or after that remains classified. I couldn't tell you, but I do firmly believe, after talking to many of those individuals, that these videos are the tip of the iceberg.
Now, what's the as we're getting ready to wrap up here? As you know, we had Micah Hanks on the show last week and talking about the excellent work of Tim McMillan and the Debrief and what you guys are doing over there. But there's the question of this second image, right, of this triangle object coming out of the water at 90 degrees. Mm-hmm. Are we going to see this thing? What's the latest rumor on the street? What have you heard?
Oh, man, if I had a nickel for every rumor, I'd be a rich man. I wouldn't ever need to tend bar on Broadway again, man. To my knowledge, nobody I have known or been in touch with has seen this triangle photo. It's been talked about, it's been described, but whether you look at someone like what Tim has brought forward or the information someone like George Knapp may have, we're only seeing this one video or this one photo of this balloon or whatever it might be. If there is a crystal clear photo of a triangle emerging from the water, I want to see it, but I have no evidence, to my knowledge, whatever limited knowledge that might be on these photos, that it even exists. So I don't know. Maybe it's just going to drop.
Does the Debrief publish it if they get it? Do you write that article?
I would hope so. If we could be out front with something like that, man, drop it. Absolutely. And the Debrief got a lot of flack with that when that photo came out. And I struggle with that, not because I may be biased because I work with the Debrief, but the work done by Tim McMillan on that original article was almost a year in the making, vetting sources, following up with things, making sure everything was in line, reaching out to the Pentagon for comment, and constantly being told we have no comment, and saying, all right, we're going to pull the gun on this and publish this. It's very possible that could happen again. And look, the Debrief is a new endeavor. They can't pretend that they know exactly what was in that photo that we published. But we said right in the article, Tim said it could be a balloon. And lo and behold, it most likely was. But I have no doubt that the Debrief could be one of the first outlets that it gets leaked to, for sure.
Do you think that the Debrief has a chance of being the new TTSA, the conduit from the Pentagon, where they can clandestinely, dump some of this information?
I hope so, man. I hope. But hey, we have a working relationship with some of these people now, and those are trusts and sources that Tim and MJ Banias and Micah Hanks have made, and that's solid. And I trust these guys. That's the only reason I started writing for them. Is this isn't some 2-bit hack website that's hoping to just put out sensational reporting. Again, that article took almost a year of putting together. So if we can handle the UAP topic in the way that we've shown is possible with the Debrief, I think we have a good chance of being that outlet that maybe what TTSA can't do, we can do, and work with them. Like, it's a small company made up of these 3 guys. There's been rumors of, we're being backed by TTSA.
You guys are shills. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Disinfo shills. No, you guys are doing a great job over there, man. And this community really needed something like this right now. And in closing, are we going to see another season of Mysteries Decoded? What's going on? What's in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. Our first season went great. We got picked up for second season.
Right on.
We were right in the middle of filming when the pandemic hit, man. So I can't tell you when, but absolutely. I've already been on the ground doing 2 new investigations for the show. So look for more in the future for sure on some cases the public will know and some that they've never heard of before. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And when do you release your new podcast each week?
Episodes release every Monday.
Right.
Right on everywhere you get Fade to Black and in between. So I love it, man. I've been following you for a long time and the likes of Micah Hanks and Richard Dolan. So if I can even be in the same sphere as you guys in the internet radio and podcasting world, I feel like I've truly made it.
You have, Ryan. And thank you so much. We've been talking about doing this show for so many years. We finally got it out of the way. I look forward to the next conversation. We'll just pick one topic and just go at it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Ryan Sprague, everybody. Thank you so much, Ryan. Just went poll to poll. I've got to go straight to credits right now. The website, of course, is somewhereintheskies.com. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Want to remind everybody what's going down tomorrow night. James Fox is going to be here. Going to talk about his new hit film, the documentary, The Phenomenon. So I'll see everybody tomorrow night. What a great show tonight. It is Christmas week. So glad to kick it off with Ryan. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2020 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Until tomorrow night with James Fox, I want everybody to be safe. Fade to Black.